Hey now everybody, Leaf Eater here, and I wanted to pop in at the top to let you know that this episode we recorded with Charlie is going to be split into 2 parts, for 2 reasons. First, because of our schedules, we want to make sure that we don't miss releasing an episode next week. Second, we recorded this episode for like forever, so this week's episode is going to be way more Dota-centric. Nearly the whole thing is jam-packed with Dota stuff, and next week is much more, well, less about Dota and more about literal shit. So hopefully there's something for everybody. I think. Maybe. Hit me up on Twitter at LeafEater with the feedback, or just leave in the YouTube comments. If you're not watching on YouTube, you know, you can watch us there. There's a video version. Or you can listen to us on any of your favorite podcast apps. Leave us a review on the podcast. It really does help us a ton, and we'll read them on the show, and we'll send you something if you read it, like an Arcana or like a poster. I don't know. You tell me. I'm here for you. For the people. By the people. Also, check out Chair Tangos with Trent and Ziori, because they're our sister show and they're really cool. But okay, I'm going to shut the fuck up. Here's the show. I'm going to play the intro song. Let's do it. Thanks, everybody. You're cute. Don't forget that. You're cute.
I didn't start recording.
I just assume that we're not starting.
Yeah, no, I mean, you never know what could be funny. So just it's been on, but I mean, we can just not talk about that. Be like, hey.
Also, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna try and cut this in 2?
We can see how it goes. I can like find a spot probably if we want to, but if not,
whatever. I don't really have a time limit. My Valentine's Day plans got shot, so.
No, I was going to say that I was very happy to spend my Valentine's Day with you two, because I can't think of a better way to be enjoying Friday night.
That's very cute. It's very cute. Did you not have any Valentine's Day plans, Joey?
The best time to do Valentine's Day plans is the week before, because no one's making reservations.
Okay.
Honestly, it's not about the day.
Yeah, it really isn't. Honestly, Valentine's Day itself is I think all holidays are pretty dog shit.
Yeah.
All holidays are bad.
But Jesus was reborn.
I'm agnostic.
But what about baby Jesus, Charles?
And I think he died on the other one?
Baby
I really don't know.
White Jesus in his crib full of his white parents.
How many more people can we turn off right immediately? Jesus wasn't white.
All right. You want to tell me about some real controversial shit? Okay, so have you seen the thing that's popping on Twitter is that argument between you know the guy
the guy punching the bear.
Yeah.
Okay, so for those that are not like
privy to
tuned in to social media or whatever, there's a video of a woman on an airplane. She is reclined back and recording a guy in the very back of the airplane so she's reclined back into him like a normal reclining amount. And he's obviously in the back, so his seat doesn't recline.
It's like up against the bathroom.
Yeah.
Like it can't recline.
He is punching the back of her seat while she's recording him. They're like, they're not super hard punches. It's like...
It's just annoying.
Like
it's just to make your chair bounce up and down. Yeah.
And so, the internet debate is who is the asshole in this situation?
Are you going to tell me the lady's the asshole? Is that the hot take here?
No.
No? Okay, great. Then I agree with you. Because I kind of hate that guy.
No, I think they're both assholes.
Okay.
Are you a non-recliner, Charles?
No, I fucking recline my seat, and I would punch the seat of the person in front of me. I am both of these people. And I think if people were truly honest with themselves, they would say, yes, I see myself in both of you. There's a situation in which I would do both of these things.
I can't see myself.
Maybe the threshold for that is a little lower, because like we don't know the context of this. We don't know the interactions that have occurred beforehand. But real talk, like I'm both of these people. I recline my seat, and like I've yelled at children on airplanes before. So I have no.
What did the child do?
Charlie.
The child was a child. Listen. I'm also
being young and uninformed.
I'm also against children just
as a concept.
As concept, yeah. I think the human race is a plague, and we should just stop procreating.
Well,
That's
well. Let me just say, I'm doing my part.
Yeah, I'm not procreating. So I
Well,
feel like
well, I'm-
that's the most environmentally friendly thing you can do, right?
I mean, I'm going a further step. I just
Okay.
had my, I just got my recommendation or referral from my doctor to get snipped.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh
That's
damn!
I don't.
I'm going that far.
That
Wow.
I mean, but here's the thing: once it's done, then I have very little to worry about. You know?
wow.
yeah.
I don't know if I would ever go that far because like
I see. Here's the thing: I've thought about this. Is like, I don't want kids, but even if I did want kids, I would adopt. I have like enough genetic things that I wouldn't necessarily want to pass on. And then on top of that, like overpopulation, all these sorts of things. It's like,
yes.
if I wanted to have kids, I'd give somebody else a better life, you know?
I get that. My thing is that, you know, I just don't want the invasive surgery. So, you know, I'm just like, if it does happen, I'm like the kind, like I'm like super old school. I'm gonna go take my child and like leave them out in the woods.
But it's a 20-minute procedure, apparently. Outpatient, no problem.
How many hoops do you have to jump?
Yeah, but
I
leaving your kid out in the woods is fucking free.
Yeah, but that's at least a 20-minute drive out into the woods and then 20 minutes back.
You have to like probably you still have to get it delivered.
And plus, you'd have to do it again if you have another kid.
Yeah.
I'm just eliminating that entire process.
Don't they? I didn't think they'd do that if you're like under 30 or something. Like, isn't there a process where if you're too young? Are you sure?
No, I mean, that's what I expected.
Yeah.
I expected to go to my family doctor and for him to have a serious conversation with me about it and, you know, like any possible risks, what are my reasons for doing so, yada, yada, yada. I had it all prepared in my head, ready to go. And I was like, yeah, I'd like to get a vasectomy. He's like, okay, give you a referral. I was like, geez.
I hope you have enough like frozen peas in the freezer before you get home.
Are you gonna freeze anything just in case? Like,
No.
all right.
I think I'm too conceited. If I ever choose to have kids, which I'm almost certain I don't want, like 95%, like I want them to be mine.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
I feel like my genetics are okay enough. Like there's some dog shit in there. Like they're probably going to be allergic to most things. But like I think the other stuff can outweigh it.
I just want like
Didn't our last episode you talked about how you wouldn't be alive if you were born before the 70s or something?
That's true. Yeah, they'd be allergic to stuff and you know not have functioning lungs. But aside from that, you know, someone else's genetics are like a total crapshoot.
what if like the world goes to shit and you're like your kid's not like on top of having to fight for food, they need to fight for like an EpiPen or something.
We're almost there in our current society. You're like, hey, do you have $500? Do you not want to die? Cool.
Visit my GoFundMe. I need insulin.
Oh man, it's sad because it's true. Man, that's wild. Getting a vasectomy. I watched my dad have a vasectomy, and that's the first time I ever saw him cry. First time I saw my dad cry.
Really?
When it was post vasectomy, he was like on the couch, just like bawling.
Wow.
Yeah,
Why? What?
it hurt
Oh.
like a lot.
Oh.
It can't be more painful than other dick-related episodes I've had, so, you know.
You'll have to check back in with us because I assume that it might be.
Hey, this is a good time to tell you guys that now that the topic is back on my dick, that my mom found out I have a podcast. She's like, what are you doing for Valentine's Day? I was like, well, I've actually got to go record the podcast with her friends. And she's like, wait, what's a podcast? And so, yeah, now she knows.
Wait, she didn't know what a podcast was?
She knew what a podcast was, but she didn't know that I had a podcast or where to be able to, like, get it. You know?
So you have to explain to her like how to find it. Like, do you think she's gonna listen now and check?
Yeah. So she will be watching.
Hi, Austin's mom.
And I'm trying to like I've been going through the last like hour or two. I've been going back through my head like what are all the terrible things I've said on the show, you know, like
Well, if she listens to this one, I basically started this podcast sounding like the biggest asshole in the world.
You don't want to have kids, and your friends are really mean.
don't worry, my mom knows about that stuff. So.
Wait. Which the not wanting to have kids or the friends are really mean?
Both. She knows who you are, Charlie.
I found out that my grandmother follows me on Twitter.
Oh no!
I got an email being like, "Oh, do you really not have a job anymore?"
Ooh.
And I'm like, "Not really." thanks for checking up on me. Or like, she also told me like, "Hey, I'm really worried that you might be a socialist."
Wait, really?
Yes, over ice cream. We're getting ice cream. She picked up from LAX, and she's like, "Do you really believe like that Bernie person? Because that's just really bad for America." And I'm like, "Oh man, you really gotta just. I'm gonna do a reverse block or something."
Do you like challenge her on that stuff?
I do. No one else challenges her. My family's like pretty stereotypically white, which you can just read as racist. So I'm often the one who challenges them, but I'm also the only one who challenges them. So I often get pushed to the side as like, "Oh, that's just Joey. He's like the liberal one.
He's the crazy lefty."
Yeah. So there's only so far you can go or like make any progress.
I feel that. So like my parents harbor some all immigrants are fucking racist. Immigrants are racist as well. And like, so yeah, my parents like my mom harbors some of that. And like I'll go back and I challenge her on that shit. And then it's just like, there's a point where like no matter how much you talk, it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, it's really true. You got to really pick your moments.
Yeah,
and like be so ironclad, because the slightest thing that they might interpret as wrong is just like an opening to be attacked. So family dinners are a lot less fun now. Thanksgiving sucks.
Oh no, I'm at the point now where I'll embrace it. So like if I'm at like big Chinese like gatherings or whatever, I'm down to just
be that guy.
Yeah,
Charlie told me, he was like, "I'm going to a Chinese wedding upcoming, and I'm going to talk about Hong Kong." I was like, "Well then, good luck."
It's like I'm out of the house, I'm financially independent. I'm just gonna be me.
Yeah, I should probably do a little bit more of that. I don't know if I want to completely excommunicate everyone, though.
I don't want to do that either, but I feel like at this point, if I talk about it, like I don't want to excommunicate them, but if they want to, if they're gonna excommunicate me for having these beliefs, that's on them.
Yeah, the people in my family are probably gonna die soon, anyways, though. So maybe I can just like outlive the old people, and then I can work on the younger ones.
Fair.
I don't know if that's a legitimate strategy or not. It sounded much shittier than it did in my head.
No, I think about this a lot. It's like like with politics, with trends in the world, and how I guess how polarized everybody is. I legitimately think that it's fucked. The only solution we have is just to wait for some of these people to die.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we could fix it for the younger ones.
I mean, if we last long enough, right? Like,
surely we can do 30 more years.
As long as the coronavirus doesn't wipe us all out. Yeah. Speaking of the coronavirus, what about those Chinese qualifiers that are delayed into the qualifiers of actual Dota? A lot of people have been complaining to me about like the podcast could use just a little bit more Dota.
I saw all those.
Like instead of 90% nothing and 10% Dota.
To be fair, coming back from that break, we didn't talk about Dota for like an hour, so I feel like it was a skewed perspective, but
True.
You're right. And I am interested about the Chinese qualifiers because I didn't realize they were delayed, and I had to figure out like, is this mostly a Corona thing, or like is it a travel thing, or is it a what's going on? Because they're happening now, like literally right now as we're recording.
They're fucked. Maybe they're not completely fucked. I think it's legitimately a bad thing for Dota if the Chinese teams aren't there. So I want them to be there. And part of me holds out hope that maybe one or two might make it, but honestly, the situation looks incredibly bleak. Mm-hmm. It's a 14-day incubation time. So they need to be outside of China. Whatever team qualifies, so they need to play these qualifiers, and these qualifiers are going to last another 6 or 7 days. And then you're in the 3rd week of February. Then you need incubation time, which is minimum 14 days outside of China. So they need to get to another country that like outside of China, like you need to get to another country, stay there for 14 days. While they're there, apply for US visas if they don't already have them. Stay there, and then hopefully like be able to fly to ESL by that time. You have maybe a cushion of 3 or 4-ish days.
And that's just the teams going to the major, not even the teams who are going to presumably go to the minor.
Yes, teams going to the minor, I think they're completely fucked.
Yeah. There's just not enough time.
Yeah.
There's simply enough time.
How many planes are even coming in and out of China right now? Because I think that I have some friends who were traveling in April and their flights were already canceled.
Yeah.
So there's like nothing. There's like almost no US based airlines going there.
A lot of these players are also not in major cities right now. They're in their own like various province cities. They're smaller. They don't have as much air travel. They have limited like connections to different places. I think it's going to be insanely hard for them to get to the major.
Pretty much the only chance that we get a Chinese team is at the major, and if it's a team that already has US visas, right? So, and that's very few on the list. Right, because Vici Gaming already said they're not actually participating at all, so it would have to be like an IG.
Yeah, IG
like that.
are the only ones
would have been
travel,
LGD, but they couldn't make it through the open qualifiers again, so can't put their name in. It's it has to be a team.
Yeah, has RNG or Acer been to?
I don't know. Aster?
Maybe, yeah.
I think Aster was at one of the minors, maybe. But that doesn't mean
it would be whoever was at
might not have
the
US
visas. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be whoever was at the summit, basically, and that was I think Aster was at the summit.
Was IG there?
Yeah, IG won the summit.
Yeah.
So it would pretty much you would have to be IG. At this point in time, it's like the Chinese qualifier is pretty much like, who do you guys think can go? Like that's legitimately what could happen. It's just like, hey, what team thinks they could make it to the major, and then you could just invite that team.
Yeah.
What team is willing to make the 2 weeks in Thailand beforehand that already has US visas, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, is willing to take the risk of flying over and getting denied? Because that could happen too, even if you wait the 14.
Here's another problem. A lot of the list of Southeast Asian countries that you can fly from now is rapidly shrinking. Vietnam just issued a quarantine.
I didn't know about
that. I'm not sure what's going to happen. Honestly, like the realist in me thinks that they're legitimately fucked.
A Philippines event just got canceled as well. There was a Philippines event that was going to go on at the same time as we play, and that just got canceled. So,
best case scenario, like best case scenario, I'm thinking is that IG maybe +1 end up making it, and then they pull another team from the minor.
Yeah, that could be the answer, if anything. But I mean, it's also just as likely that we just see. Would they throw a team from a different region in, or would you see an event with just missing a team or two?
No, I think you would just see, like, you would take 2 teams from the minor instead of 1, and then you would, best case scenario, maybe you get a 1 or 2 Chinese teams, and there's a good chance that those Chinese teams also have stand-ins. They just have to bring in a stand-in, because getting all 5, that's
even it's harder on a normal day, let alone what's going on right now.
Right. So who knows? And I know somebody that passed the 14-day quarantine and still didn't get in.
Oof.
So yeah.
Not looking good.
Yeah, that can also have like a weird trickle-down effect on DPC points coming into the season, because you have a whole region that could be out of a whole event, and then you're like, oh, well, what if IG was on the bubble, and what if they, just got 200 points from being somewhere?
Yeah.
And then do they not go to TI because of an epidemic that they had no control over? Like,
also, I think you also have to ask yourself, how long does this last?
Yeah. What's the rest of the calendar look like?
No more US events. So that is like one upside, I would say, for China in general. But, I don't know what kind of regulations like Russia has, because Epicenter is coming up, Epicenter major, and then it's going to be
Singapore.
The Singapore major, this just continues to grow, then maybe the Singapore major is in trouble.
It's in the same general vicinity, right? So
It's a problem. Who knows? Maybe there is like we don't play on LAN. When we have we actually don't. The games themselves don't happen on LAN. They happen online servers, right? So what are the chances that you get people playing online for some of these majors and stuff? You know.
I mean that's hard for China because
for China, no.
you have to still go through the perfect world firewall, and that puts them at a huge disadvantage.
You'd have to still be like somewhere in Southeast Asia, and then something crazy like that.
I think,
but for outside of
all
LA,
Chinese teams, you should get the fuck out immediately. Not just for this major, but like for the upcoming ones as well. Give yourself like a month of incubation time. Get the fuck out.
Just take an extended vacation. Go hang out in the Netherlands for.
Go to Korea. Set up a boot camp there. Set up a boot camp in like fuck anywhere else.
They've got enough money, right? At least some of those teams do.
Yeah, LGD's got all that money, right? They can just do whatever they want with.
They just have to goddamn qualify.
Oh, is it a problem to not see like these big team names like an LGD or like a Liquid or something else keep on flustering at these events and these qualifiers?
Is it a problem?
It affects viewing numbers, yes.
Sure.
Like Nigma, for example, like they are a very big draw. And so them not even making it to the minor, that means that
you don't have to worry about saying their name.
Both events are that too. But both events are going to take a viewing hit no matter what, right? Because Alliance, there's some sort of draw, but not the same as TI champions and TI runner-ups. So
ultimately, though, that is on them. That's not a virus thing. That's not a
it is on them, yes. But European qualifiers is very hard.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a toughie. It's pretty much everyone's talking about that right now. The European qualifiers probably deserve more slots. And then
at least
the whole rigmarole of who do you pull it from, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
At least into the minor. Like they got one team that went to that minor.
Yeah.
So big oof. I was surprised to see NIP actually make it to the major. I was watching the qualifier. I have an invested interest in Team Liquid now.
Why?
Because you know how we had that conversation last time, Charlie, how I shouldn't work in esports? Okay. I should probably just like stay in like television.
Sure.
I'm kind of working in esports now. I might have taken a job with Team Liquid.
He tried to tell you.
Congratulations.
He tried to tell you.
I don't know.
I'm sheepishly explaining it. Yeah, half congratulations, full congratulations, no congratulations. It's fine, but like I was watching the EU qualifiers a little bit more closely than I have previously.
So you walked away from those qualifiers pretty disappointed. Is that what you're saying?
Fuck.
Because Liquid failed to make the majors off of a tiebreaker against Ninjas of Pajamas. They couldn't get out of their group because of that. And if they had, they probably would have placed, right? Because Nip took that spot against aggressive mode. And then on top of that, couldn't make it through the minor qualifiers because they lost to both Alliance and Nigma in the playoffs. So
what is stacked? The EU Malin minor qualifiers might have been the most exciting part of the whole rigmarole. In the last couple of days because it was Alliance, Nigma, aggressive mode, and Liquid. And
Alliance just had that insane comeback against Nigma. 5-game series, double rapiers, face race.
Yeah, I woke up and I'm like, why is everyone so yelling? Because I fell asleep with a stream on. I'm like, what's going on? And then I turned it off and went back to bed. And then eventually I woke back up for real and I'm like, what happened? There was 2 rapiers? You can play Medusa?
Well, unfortunately, super stacked. What can you do?
I guess just enjoy it as a fan.
Or you could develop a new rumored league system that's gonna
where teams can consistently play and you don't have to worry about the qualifier process, and there might be a better way to. I don't know how much of what they talked, what was leaked.
I think we should pull up the Liquid posts because I can't. It's hard for me to separate in my head what I already know and what's in the post.
And
I will only talk about what's in the post.
I also have this same problem. Wikipedia knew the DPC 2021. Is that going to be the Google search?
Maybe.
No, I'll find it. Keep vamping.
So the new system is that they are going into a league, right? They're doing some sort of league format. They're only going to be doing 3 majors, no minors. And yeah, like that's what the Liquid article put out. And I didn't really know how to feel about it because there just wasn't a whole lot of details and how much money and effort is Valve / the tournament organizers going to be putting into a league system, something like that. But from an overall perspective, a league should be beneficial.
Right. So I think a lot of the problems with Dota specifically right now is that, so from a top-down view, esports is essentially a marketing industry. What we are selling is eyeballs. We're not the money isn't really driven by competition or anything like that. About maybe 70 to 80% of team revenue comes from sponsorships.
Mm-hmm.
We are almost entirely marketing here. And ultimately, we are all brands, teams are at the mercy of sponsors. And Dota specifically, what is that?
That's fine. That's just my roommate walking.
Okay. And the problem is that Dota specifically has a problem because it is, out of the big major esports, it is probably the hardest game to sell into. It's hard to understand. The player base is very disconnected from everything else, and it's not predictable. The DPC changes every single year. Teams change throughout the year. And so if I'm a sponsor looking to get into the space and I want to sponsor a team or a tournament, I don't really know what teams are going to be there. I don't know what the results are going to be like. There's very little predictability. And so if you're in sponsorship sales for Dota, your ask can only be so much because you can only offer so much predictability. But a league system having, a more predictable format, a more familiar format.
We're getting into a league. We guarantee we'll be playing,
This
10 games from, these 4 to 6 weeks in this major league, whatever.
You'll get
slot to the major.
You'll get this many viewable hours. Your team is guaranteed to play this many matches, and you have a slot in the league. You can ask for more. Your sponsorship asks can be higher. So overall, this is, I think, a step in the right direction for Dota. It makes things more predictable, and that's good. That's good. Without getting into too many of the details of what this league is.
And then on top of that, we have we're going back to the 3 majors, which makes everyone nostalgic for the Valve majors. That the first 3, right?
They felt special.
Frankfurt was okay. Shanghai was obviously a shit show, but in the end, the Manila major, it's like the one that everybody cements in their head is like that was the majesty of a Valve major, and it is. I do wonder if Valve is actually going to be bringing that back with this league setup, or how important are how much are they going to invest into these majors? Is it going to be similar to what they did before?
I'm just hoping that means we can, if there's 3 majors, we can play Fantasy Dota 4 times a year again instead of just once. That's my own preference. That's the big win.
And that's always the biggest thing with Valve stuff, right? It's what projects are they gonna give up on? Do you guys have the DPC app?
No.
Where you can bet shard points on games?
No.
Half the time that isn't active on official DPC games. It's just nothing's there.
By doing that, they scrapped the minors.
Yeah.
And I'm interested in does that just mean that they're just giving this giant gift to BTS and be like, here you go, run a league, here's a bunch of money? Or if it'll be
not at liberty to discuss that.
Either way, the minors was it was a system that was set up that was supposed to be able to help get more eyes and help build up the tier 2 scene, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was the intention. It's a big tournament for a bigger tournament. Here's all these tier 2 teams, and a league should support that even more, right? Especially since it's a regional league where even the top league, right? You have the secondary league, which is almost surprising to me that they did that this thing says they're going to do a secondary league, but the primary league, right? It's like how many teams does it say?
Does it even?
I just like if it's let's say it's 8. That's a small number. Okay, let's say 8 teams. Are there 8 teams in NA that you're willing to follow?
There are.
There's 3.
I think
maybe 4 or 5.
I think there are. I think you can only really fill that out in Europe.
Yeah.
I actually don't think maybe China. Maybe
I feel like you can pull China off.
I don't think.
I think C could be exciting if they can stick together for long enough.
But either way, like no matter what the region is, like even Europe or China, very likely the 8th best team there, you can consider tier 2. And is probably getting bolstered by having a league like this, let alone the possibility of them having a secondary league underneath that. I look at some of those regions and I'm just like, I don't want to see what second tier NA and SA Dota looks like. I just don't, you know?
That could be entertaining for
like I could play in that, you know? Like I don't want to see me playing in that. That's gross.
That's what you should be doing. Just get a second, just get a tier 2.
I think at the very least, having the consistency is just good for all of these regions and growth for the game regardless. I don't remember which player said this, but on what the Gooncast that we had recently, somebody I think it was actually Sammy Boy said that what we really need is consistent official matches throughout the year.
Yeah.
Where like the minor doesn't fucking matter because it doesn't really matter for tier 2 Dota because it's just still one event and they get what, 5 of them? They get 5 minors throughout the year. It's not consistent enough. You play for a chance to compete at the minor. Most of them don't get it, and then they just go back to playing Path of Exile like IX Mike. But if you have like a consistent league throughout the year, 6 weeks at a time, you know it gives a good solid chunk of time for people to stay together, consistently play out the league, scrim, get experience against some of the better teams. And then go from there. And it's I think I can say this at least, is that there will be space for third-party tournaments. So this isn't the only this won't be the only game in town. There will be third-party tournaments. There will be room for that. You can have other things within this system as well.
Is when you move to a full-time league format, is oversaturation of official games a concern?
When was the last time we had the oversaturation?
Even when
talk?
we had it,
like way back.
I hate
I6 or something.
it so much.
I
hate the oversaturation talking point.
Is there any validity to oversaturation as a talking point, Charlie?
Probably, but I think when we had it, it's like when it first came up, it was because we had a bunch of online tournaments where North American and European players or teams were playing in the same leagues with each other. There's a bunch of online competition over and over again. So you saw a bunch of those big matchups over and over again. And it's hard admittedly, it is hard for me to evaluate what the average viewer feels because at that time, obviously, I'm not really an average viewer. I had a horse in the race, and I really like watching competitive Dota. So I never really felt that, but I don't think we're really going to have that problem anymore because U.S. or North American and European players or teams don't play cross-regionally except on LAN anymore, and so I don't think regional leagues is really going to contribute to that. And I think with the amount of third-party tournaments here won't be so much that you're going to feel like, oh my God, another major Dota LAN. How can I keep up?
I don't think it's a problem for what we have right now because the people who are only around to like watch the last half of a major or the major of itself, like they're going to continue to do that. They're just going to watch the big event and all the extra stuff will just be bonus for people who want more. I think that we still talk about oversaturation because we've seen it hurt things in the past, like StarCraft a while ago. So I think there's still like some gun shyness to like, oh no, we can't have everything every day because then everyone's going to universally tune out. I think that's like a holdover of 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Sure. I think that I mean you don't want like Secret Enigma playing every single day. I think that's, hyperbole. That's just not going to happen. But, I'd like to see these matchups 2-3 times a month. I'm good with 2-3 times a month minimum.
Mm. And then that's like, on top of that, the only real problem with oversaturation with the regional league is if one region really just starts dominating lands like Europe is doing now. But even then, it's still hyped to see EG versus Secret. Still hyped to be able to see, IG or Vici Gaming match up against Enigma, for example, right? And we still, like, Vici Gaming placed, third at this last major? So,
right.
It's still, like, EG placed fourth or second. No, second. They're in the finals, right? Yeah. So so we still have the regions are still competitive. South America is even doing well. And then ideally a league should build up enough talent for all the regions that the regions as a whole will continue to grow and get better. Like South America, North America should get a stronger base of tier 2 and maybe some tier 1 teams that will build up, and that'll be a nice base for basically making everybody better, right? Like EG, for example, maybe you're more willing to, actually scrim in NA if there's some good NA competition rather than, just like boot camping and taking the NA qualifiers by storm and then waiting to boot camp in Europe before the next big event, It's like stuff like that. I think should definitely help. And at the end of the day, Dota's got millions and millions of dollars into it, so there's always going to be some people with a high drive. Even if the NA qualifiers was tanked by a team that abandoned after the first day. Did you know that, Joey?
I saw that. I was watching these qualifiers more close than I've watched the other two this season. One, because I feel like I need to be playing more Dota because we do this podcast now, and I feel I don't want to be like an imposter. So I've been trying to play more Dota, but also just like watch significantly more Dota. Also being unemployed helped. Anywho, and yeah, I'm like, why are they forfeiting all their games? And I'm like clicking, and like Wikipedia's not saying anything. I'm like looking on Reddit. I'm like, did they really? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Why?
It's because they're asshats, Joey.
So,
it was Doze, right?
Yes, Doze.
Yes.
Alien
Mana Banana. Yes.
He released a statement.
Yes, I know. I read it.
Yeah. Your thoughts?
I don't. Maybe it's true.
All right.
I mean, either way, they are still them. So I don't feel bad about them.
The TLDR is he threw his teammates on the bus.
Yeah, he pretty much said like, "Oh, my teammates weren't trying or whatever," so we just kind of like gave up, thought it wasn't worth it.
This Tulsi 2020. Who is this person?
But yeah,
you're judging him on his political candidate choices.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I'm judging them based on the fact that they screwed up an entire qualifiers. And
I was looking so hard for this.
Strongly believe that people should just get banned for that stuff because you don't want to encourage that behavior. But either way, new league setup that will weed out that sort of stuff, right? Doze Esports, for example, like if you're committing to a 6-week period of like lands or whatever, or of qualifier games, and like you have all these matches coming up, like presumably people will commit more for that rather than a qualifier that you're probably just going to get stomped out of and you're just playing it for fun. I mean, Sammy Boy was close to getting into the playoffs of the major and straight up said that, like they were playing loose. They didn't scrim before at all. They did not practice whatsoever. They just kind of like grouped up and played, and they did pretty well for themselves. So
I'd love to find like an underdog NA team to like who's not EG or whatever team EE plays on.
What do you mean?
Like, I think if we develop a league and we have like more teams who have like this kind of consistency and aren't doing like this silly dropping out of stuff and are actually trying more, then we'll develop this underground of like, oh, there's like other teams you can care about.
I mean, I hope so. I hope it gives incentives to form for a long time. I hope this gives incentives for organizations to come in and sponsor some teams. It's I don't think so. I don't think this is going to. I don't think you'll see the positive effects of a league like this immediately. I think it's going to take at least one iteration for people to see, like,
or even a full year, really.
I mean, I define a year as an iteration.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think it'll take about that long for people to see more money and stability to come into the space. Like right now, when like orgs approach me for like, hey, like what's a good team to sponsor in Dota right now? I'm just like, dude, I here are some names. Like this is where they're at right now. But you know, I like what I can't.
How can you in good faith recommend? I mean, maybe if you wanted to give a recommendation for like a big cat, but anything other than that, like how do you in good faith be like,
I
Chaos Esports?
In good faith, I cannot, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to sponsor an event, I mean, why even sponsor an event at this point if no one's watching official streams and you're just watching, you know, Bulldog the whole time anyways, right?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna take some issue with Toby's tweet here. Like I don't think he meant it this way.
I want to pull up whatever the tweet is.
Like I again, I don't think he's like, we talked about this on the.
We did talk about it.
Yeah, I was like, I'm getting deja vu right now.
Yeah. Because I had to play Toby's advocate, like I've done many times before.
Like, to be fair, I don't think he's like specifically pointing a finger at English studios or anything like that.
No.
But
he wasn't trying to say like these casters that are covering these games are doing a bad job.
Yeah, it's just there's no incentive for, why would anybody put money into covering and paying people for a real broadcast of the qualifiers when Gorksy or Bulldog or even us goons are just going to turn on the stream and
taking all my viewers away
and take almost all your viewers.
Yeah, I get an average concurrence of like maybe 200, 300, I would say. Like when I'm playing Dota, it's a pretty bad stream. I've been doing it for a really long time, but I have a brand, so some people watch, right? And we got like easily over 5K, if not 10, 15K.
Dude, we were at 20K for a bit.
Well, there we go. I actually didn't know that. I knew we went over.
Pulled in all the clout.
Yeah, like as soon as Gorksy and Bulldog were done covering the European region, they would stop. That people would just go to us because, well, we already had some viewers, right? And they would recognize the name, and so they would just like it's a real thing that like the highest viewed channel, people will just go and watch. I mean, that's how I watch Twitch. A lot of times is I literally just go through the quality broadcast must have the most viewers, right? And so I will see in the first 3, I'll be like, I'm going to pick one of those. And that's who I'm going to watch if I'm looking to watch a certain game.
I'm normally clicking through like Wikipedia or Juked at this point. And I must be an abnormal user because I'm just never browsing the Twitch page for like
even then, isn't it listing it in the number of viewers? So the first stream in a list, right? When you see
well, Juked is curated, and Wikipedia normally is just linking to like whatever the official broadcast page is. So it'll take you right to BTS or whatever.
I gotcha. That makes sense.
So, I don't identify with someone who's just looking through the list and being like, Cap's got the most viewers, I'll watch his stream.
I will say the cast was really bad.
Yeah, we like it was entirely like I was not trying to pull in viewers. Let's say I literally was just like. I just wanted to cast some qualifiers.
Did you run a bunch of ads?
I ran like 3 or 4 different rounds of ads for like a minute.
Good on you. Good on you.
That was I'm not sure if I'm supposed to do that or not when covering the qualifiers. I don't know. I know you're not supposed to brand for it. I don't know if you're not supposed to play ads, but either way, like I did. But yeah, we weren't really trying. I was just like, I wanted to cast. I wanted to cover the qualifiers. I asked Join Dota to cast, but I think I asked them too late. And so I didn't get a slot to cover like any of the games. So I was like, well, whatever. I'll just cover the games on my own. And then, you know, whoever wanted to join me could join me. So Trent would stop by, and then I'd like people would show up in my channel. I would just give them the Discord
something
link.
Crazy, like 6 or 7 people casting at once.
We had at one point, I think, like 8 or 9 people at once, all there. And as you can imagine, that's not like the most
The quality of cast doesn't scale linearly with the number of casters.
No, it
Definitely does not.
definitely does not. Because nobody knows when to talk, and at the same time, like not everyone's excited by the game, right? That's happening at the moment. Like occasionally, I would come in and do some play-by-play, but that's it. And we got 15K viewers. That says nothing about our cast, and it says nothing about the official broadcast either. It says everything to do with the way that Twitch is set up and how channels that already have some viewers will get more viewers.
Do you think a tournament organizer has any right to be disgruntled with you for being like, ugh?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, if ESL ever said anything to me, I would have stopped. But, they didn't say anything to me. Join Dota didn't say anything to me. And again, I wanted to cover the qualifiers. So, and again, I wasn't trying to take viewers, but it happened,
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be upset about it. But, to Charlie's original point is like, why would somebody put in the numbers? Why would somebody put in the production to be able to cover multiple games all at once in a professional studio setting, especially on channels that are not already getting viewers, right?
What do you mean by that?
So a join Dota _turquoise 57. This is somebody else's joke that I'm stealing right now, but like that channel doesn't have pre-existing followers, right?
Yeah.
And so you're really only the most diehard of fans are going to find that through a curated list, right? Of like who's covering this match. They click on, that channel, they open it up. That channel's only going to get a 300, 400, viewers. Meanwhile, like Admiral Bulldog turns on his stream, he gets 10K. And then he goes and casts whatever Dota, and he's just going to absorb everything that he gets, right? So there's something inherently wrong with that setup in the first place.
And I don't blame anybody who does want to listen to Capitalist over like Johnny Caster.
Sure.
Not to throw any of the people who are casting the minor qualifiers under the bus, but like there's people who aren't casting them who have Twitch streams who can just do it and have more clout in the first place.
Yeah,
and people care about that more than some allegiance to a tournament organizer or a channel.
Yeah, I think, it's pretty obvious where the problem lies here.
Where's the problem lie?
In the policy that anybody can, or rather almost anybody can stream a game as long as you don't have branding on it.
Okay, but so my question is, where do you draw the line?
I draw the if it was up to me,
yeah,
I draw the hard line as the tournament organizer has the broadcast rights.
Okay, nobody else can cover
and nobody else should be able to cover it.
Okay. I heard like a lot of arguments going around, and what annoys some people is the fact that Bulldog or Gorksy or even our broadcast is like, we basically are a studio at that point in time for the numbers that we're getting, right? And Valve's official, unofficial policy, their very vague thing that they put out there was basically anybody can stream it, but the caveat of like studios can't screw other studios over, right? Well, like Admiral Bulldog is his studio at that point in time. He is a join Dota or we play, right? But if you say specifically like, well, he can't cover that, you literally just get like people like B-Cop, for example. He's a tier 2, tier 3 caster who doesn't get like any real land gigs, known for his online qualifier casting. Like he's going to cover something like that. And he could very easily soak up the viewers by himself. And he's obviously not somebody you're targeting in that policy either, right? So the lights just went out.
Yeah, no, it's extra
It's
dark.
flickering.
I should probably fix that. That's going to be annoying. Oh, come on. Stay
I'll
on
live.
off.
So I could see where Valve wants to be able to maintain an open policy of allowing anybody who wants to watch those games, right? I mean, we laugh at, like, I laughed at it when League of Legends apparently shut down one of their streamers, like Snoopy or somebody, from covering Dota during a time where there was not even the main tournament, but like what's the junior league of League of Legends?
The Challenger?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
So he was covering Challenger. You said
No, he wasn't even covering it at that time.
What was he doing?
But he was just streaming during that time. He was just streaming League of Legends. And apparently they were like,
he was
like
playing-
pro players can't stream during challenger time.
He was playing his own games.
Yeah.
Is that I don't believe that's the case anymore, right?
No, that was like a recent thing that happened to Doublelift. Actually, it was Doublelift.
I'm looking this up.
And it's like a new Riot policy that apparently like if you're a pro player, you just can't stream during like the challenger games because you will just soak up League of Legends viewers, I guess.
I think that's an interesting policy. Like I mean, I get why they do it.
Yeah.
I don't think I think a lot of like especially Dota fans and listeners of the podcast will be like, that's wrong. But honestly, I don't think there is a right or wrong here. There's only a matter of perspectives. And Riot's perspective is that we want to do what is best for the game, and that includes our esports product because that is the game. And Doublelift is a pro player that
this happened like 2 weeks ago.
We create this environment for, that we pay, like part of his salary is I think subsidized by Riot.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we want, and he plays in our league, if we want to do this to protect the ecosystem as a whole, they're a private company. They can do that.
And NBA, NFL, any of them would do that in a heartbeat, right?
Yeah.
Something like that, for sure.
It was an Academy Rush broadcast. So it's their new like special broadcast they're doing this season to like put Academy teams up in the spotlight. So to take like the TSM and the Liquid Academy teams, have them play a game. And yeah, they 30 minutes into his broadcast, Riot told him to stop it.
From what I've heard is that it's not working because nobody's watching Academy games.
But inherently, isn't that aren't they like inherently just taking viewers away from League of Legends as a whole, right?
What do you mean?
By having Doublelift not stream during that time, they're literally just taking viewers away from the League of Legends. Like if you literally look at the Twitch, right?
Yeah,
so like from Valve's perspective, right? If they just want as many Dota viewers as possible, doesn't matter where the viewers are at, right? Then you want to be able to have an open policy that allows anybody to be able to stream, right?
I think,
but that is very focused on just your game and not the ecosystem that underlies it.
I think that's a double-edged sword there because I think you have to ultimately find the balance between people watching your game as just a game and people watching your product as an esport. And what you care about is I think for both League and Dota, both the game as a game and the game as an esport are so intertwined now that you can't really separate the two. I think the success of one inherently means the success of the other, and the downfall of one inherently means the downfall of the other.
So I think this is interesting in the league format. We were kind of talking about this in the car, but my question would be if you were in Valve's position, right? Say you're doing this new league, NA qualifiers come along. Grant's planning on doing his own coverage of the NA league. Are you going to block that in some way? Because you can whoever is covering the NA qualifiers, they could bring in tier 1 talent. They could have a panel. They could have all those things. But I'm betting you Grant is probably, if he doesn't beat out the broadcast, he's going to soak a large number of the viewers away from the broadcast. Like, what do you do about that? Because I don't think there is no like the argument of like, oh, like if you can't beat some guy at home on a webcam with your professional broadcast, then you're obviously doing something wrong. I think that argument is wrong because Grant puts on a really good product that he's a big streamer, therefore he's going to soak up big numbers, and he's also he's got a special advantage is that he's a sick streamer, but he's also like special to NA specifically, right?
I mean, at that point, I'd be asking myself why the TO didn't have him there in the first place.
Let's say Grant's a real asshole. And he's just like, fuck you. This is not how Grant is, by the way. Grant actually doesn't do this to tournament organizers. Yeah. He's always down to work with them. Let's say Grant decided to be just an asshole and was just like, nah, fuck you. I'm going to build up my own brand. I'm going to rake in the subs. I'm going to get those dollars, you know?
Yeah, if I'm Valve, I'm shutting that down.
You're shutting that down?
Shutting that down.
What do you think, Charlie?
Yeah, I'm shutting that shit down.
Okay.
I love Grant.
Yeah.
But if if somebody's RFP'd me.
Can you explain what that means?
So if RFP stands for request for a proposal, if I put my league out there and a studio has submitted a proposal to me for like a system that I want them to produce, and I accept that proposal, then if like there should be some protections in place for that studio, and they're putting in investment and dollar amount, manpower amount to produce this thing. They deserve some amount of protection for it. I mean, I think you should just hire Grant, but in the case that he wants to be an asshole or something, I don't think he deserves the right to broadcast this thing.
Okay.
And like maybe a bunch of like people are gonna call me some corporate American asshole, but
I was just like, is this actually a controversial stance we're taking, or is it just like normally
you would be surprised how many people out there don't understand intellectual property and
yes, in the age of piracy and free content everywhere,
everything's free all the time, right?
Yeah, then yeah, there are some very
there's definitely some fucking animals out there that are complete morons and don't understand that if somebody invests time and effort to create a product and you have contracted for the rights to that product, that those rights should be protected. And like, it's not everything is perfect, but ultimately this is the sort of economic system that the entire world operates in. And what has hurt Dota in the past is sometimes these things aren't protected or sold, or they're too open, and as a result, Dota sucks to sell for. On one hand, these people will complain about shitty production or why can't these players get funding or sponsors or whatever? It's because of all these other things that aren't protected. It's because broadcast rights aren't protected. It's because Dota's shitty to sell into, so people with money don't want to come into it because there's no protection for their investments.
Oh, I've got another one for you. Why do we always see the same talent over and over again? Well, like, you've got a guaranteed product, unless those tier 1 talent are like overcharging out the ass. If you can get them for a somewhat reasonable price and get a guaranteed product that will bring you viewers, then yeah, you're going to take that over someone that you don't know, that is untested, that doesn't have a brand that is going to bring in viewers. But if you're able to get more money for those sorts of things, you can get both, right? You can have the tier 1 casters and sprinkle in some talent that you think is good, that have been casting online stuff. Nobody's going to fill up their LAN event with a bunch of tier 2 and tier 3 casters. It's just not going to happen because you just don't know if it's going to work. You definitely aren't getting any value out of their brand pulling people in, right? When Owen says that he's casting something, people want to watch that, and he's going to bring in viewers by himself. A bigger draw is going to be the teams, of course, but like Owen is also going to bring in viewers just by being there. So, yeah.
I'm interested to see how much more they want to protect, or what kind of solution Valve, because I'd assume as they transition into, we're already talking about next year, post this TI, this next season, what they're going to do to change it, because I don't think anything's going to be happening pre-TI. Like, there'll be like a big group of changes for this new system.
I also don't want to seem too one-sided, though. I think there is a huge onus on both the tournament organizers and the production studios to deliver an actually good product. You can't...
Do people care about a good product, though?
Yeah.
Or do people just care about, like, I'm just only going to watch whoever?
I think... I don't think for a lot of people it will be immediately apparent, but I think over the course of a broadcast, yes, people will notice and they'll take... And they'll appreciate it and they'll get used to a standard. And I think over time if it's done right, yeah, I think they'll notice, and I think it'll provide value.
That's what I hope for. I'm giving the alternate argument there, but I'd like to see a world where people reward production value over not.
I agree.
I would like that world, but I'm not sure if it
exactly.
exists in Dota because of the draw of the teams.
That's what I'm scared about. I'm scared, I'm scared that we're not there. I think that they might be there, forcefully with Overwatch, or they've gotten there with League, but we're still in a spot where we don't necessarily value that.
I think for me, production value encompasses a lot of things. I think overall, I'm going to use production value as a catch-all for the entire quality of the show, and I think the entire quality of a show can enhance the viewer's enjoyment of the games a lot. And I think what you're seeing right now is that games are drawing people in, and and attachment to players and teams and results will keep people interested in those results. But I think a good show will keep them sticking around for more viewership minutes, more minutes watched.
I can definitely buy that argument. That it's more about the good production value. Like I would say that for talent too is like it's more of a fatigue. Like people will come in initially for a matchup, but they're more likely to drop off as soon as if game one's one-sided, then they're like, screw it, this whole series is going to be screwed. Or the next series that comes up, they're more likely to go away unless the production value and stuff like that is good.
Like if you have a funny panel, interesting segments, like people, I think will want to watch that and stick around for that. I imagine that a lot of times that like people, like viewers might drop off here and there during uninteresting series, matchups they don't care about, or series that are already over. But if certain things are better, I can definitely see people wanting to stick around.
That's why tournament organizers, by the way, there's this I think it's a bit of a false correlation, but tournament organizers, I think, are more willing to invest into good casters because they see an immediate feedback of this game comes on, and so do these commentators. Numbers are very high. But when we go to the panel, guess what happens? Numbers drop off. We go between series, numbers drop off. No matter how good your panel is, there's always going to be a significant drop off in viewers because people got things to do and they can't stick around watching, 12, 16 hours of Dota every day. But it's hard to be able to tell how much your panel is keeping. What percentage of those viewers would have gone away if the panel was shitty? How many have stayed because of the panel? And it's really hard to tell when all you see is just flat numbers going down every single time you cut to a panel, right?
I've definitely never thought about that before and trying to make those correlations between what is keeping people around between games. Because, even if you have the best panel in the world, there's so many outlying variables, too. Also, people just watching internationally and going to bed, it's not like you're just looking at one continuous group of people like they're in a stadium the whole time. There's constantly people cycling in and out. So how do you even begin to correlate?
Sure. I think this is a little unrelated, but I think Dota as a whole has a shitty social presence.
Yeah.
When I see something interesting happen in a lot of other games, my fucking timeline pops the fuck off, and I'm just like, what is happening here?
I know when something in CS:GO is happening.
Yeah, I know
insane,
when
for sure.
crazy shit in other games is happening.
Yeah.
With Dota, I don't think that's necessarily the case. We don't have that, and so it's harder for us to draw in viewers from other games when our hype moments happen. Unless it's TI or some shit, people are just most people just don't know.
I'm thinking about I guess I contribute to that because I'm never posting or sharing anything Dota related.
I think as a whole, our talent and our players are much more insular and we have that a little bit of too cool to care attitude. So
we're so cool.
Yeah. I've got a great example of that actually. I sent this video to somebody recently in the scene, and it's a Smash video of Zane getting his new sponsor, and the Golden Guardians or whatever their name is, and he gets this new sponsor, and they put together this video of him, and it's just it's definitely stuff that like when you're recording it, like you have to accept maybe you're making a bit of a fool of yourself or something. You just don't know if it's going to be cringy or good, you know? But this player, Zane, he puts himself out there and they record this content and stuff. And it just is this really good introduction video for the sponsor and stuff. And like, I'm looking at it. I shared it with somebody else who's, you know, not involved in the Smash scene and stuff like that. And it just like, it goes around, but you don't really see that sort of stuff with Dota players at all. like the most we get content wise is like, maybe a Ninjas in Pajamas or Alliance is putting together like post-series interviews or something like that. Or actually the best one's usually the CIS teams where they actually have like they'll have like post-series interviews with they'll actually talk with the captain and the coach, you know, and they'll talk about how the series went and stuff, like a just short quick minute. You know, we don't have anything like that most of the time. And that is very, very rare. You know, so it's just like if the players don't put out content and, you know, the talent too in a way, but especially the players, if they don't put themselves out there as brands, as content to be consumed, then there's no one to like personally link you. You know, there's no stake for a lot of people who just casually watch.
Nothing to share in the first place.
Yeah. Like I showed that video to somebody and that person's like, oh shit, I want to watch Zane. You know, this kid looks great. And I personally, like, I follow Smash, but the Smash Summit is going on right now. Mm-hmm. I am cheering more for Zane than I would have before. I already liked him.
He lost today.
But I watched Zane versus Axe, and I would tell you, like, last Summit, I would have been cheering for Axe 100%. But the Zane versus Axe matchup, I was torn. I wasn't sure which one I wanted to support, you know?
Are you looking this up right now?
Yeah, I am. Was it Smash Summit 9? Wow, they really started cranking these things out, haven't they?
Oh, yeah. Because Smash loves Summit and BTS loves Smash. So,
yeah.
It's,
you know what?
Well, it must be nicer when you can actually get people to commit to your events because they have less stuff going on.
It's because, yeah, Smash Smash Summit is like actually their best event.
Yeah.
For Smash.
Sure.
And then the Summit for Dota is like most Dota players don't want to go to the Summit.
Yeah, dude. We had it for the minor and like even then we even though it was a minor and most of those teams are not like they're trying to compete at the highest level, but like, you know, none of these captains are puppy hiding secrets, you know, or hiding knowledge and stuff. But most of these guys didn't want to go on the couch, you know. And it's like it's going to be even worse at like a major where you've got teams competing to go to TI. They don't want to spend time being on a couch, man, talking about the game.
Is that because we have like?
It's because they don't see, for most of these players, they don't see the immediate gratification of growing their brand. Mm-hmm. What they do see is, hey, if I put in these extra hours of pubs or talking to my teammates or thinking about this game or relaxing or whatever, my game performance goes higher and maybe I'll perform better at this tournament that pays me out immediately. They don't see if I grow my social media presence or if the game gets bigger or whatever, I can sell more merch or I can have more leverage in contract negotiations or something like that. They don't see that immediate gratification for it because the ecosystem just isn't set up that way for Dota.
It's like from both sides, right? It's like both the fact that the high is so high that it dwarfs the highest high is being able to win TI and make shit tons of money and being world famous, right? And that's like incredibly high compared to what building your brand can kind of do for you. But then the low end of it is also the fact that the tier 2 scene isn't supported well enough, that there isn't enough like content. There isn't, you know, these organizers who want to be able to buy into teams and stuff like that. That it's just like, so, you know, you're going to focus on the highest to high, right? But it's an angle at both ends, right? TI is a monster that dwarfs everything in comparison, and the tier 3 scene isn't supported, so it isn't enjoyed by viewers. They don't like watching it.
You know, as a tangent, I want to say I fucking love Lil. He might be a huge asshole or whatever, but he fucking puts himself out there and he tweets. And sometimes it's some real asshole-ish stuff, but goddamn, the scene like needs shit like that, you know? Mm-hmm. Like I think if he if sometimes he tweeted in English, it would just be better because, you know, like a lot of times it's just in Russian, and so only the CIS scene really gets to see his shit.
Oh yeah.
But like he should just do 2. Like one in English, one in Russin. You know,
So you can build the international audience.
yeah. Like I think honestly, like the scene needs storylines like that. It needs shit like that. People like put your shit out there.
I don't know how much Lil is trying to be a heel for Dota 2, but goddamn, he's doing a great job.
yeah. Whether it's intentional or not, bless you.
Maybe he's playing 4G chess. Maybe he knows. Or he sees the PPD strategy and he's just like, I can do that. I can be that person.
Maybe. But I legit, I don't know because I'm not on the CIS scene, but a reputation like that hurts you in a team game.
Yeah,
right?
it does.
You're less likely to be asked to try out for this team, right? Limiting your prospects like that, who knows, you may have just lost your chance to go to TI because, you know, FNG didn't want to pick up a troublemaker like Lil on Gambit. Next thing you know, Gambit's at TI, right? Stuff like that.
I just want to say, aggressive boys got closer.
They did. Aggressive mode.
Aggressive mode.
I feel real bad for aggressive mode. They were one game away from making it to the major, or one series away from making it to the major 2 times in a row, and then they had a third chance to be able to go through the minor qualifiers and failed there as well. They did so well at the beginning and then just choked every which way afterwards.
Their games were too early for me, so I cannot watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joey didn't fucking watch.
If it's too early for us, it's definitely too early for Joey.
Hey man, I got up by like 11 today. I was very proud of myself.
Yay.
I'm a real human adult. I know how to manage my sleep schedule.
Don't worry, Charlie can't judge you. I know.
I can't. Listen. To be fair though, my sleep schedule fluctuates wildly depending on what I need to do. Like tomorrow, I have to get up at 6 a.m.
Yeah, for what, Charles?
to go snowboarding, you asshole, at fucking Big Bear.
I'm sorry that you have to go there.
Yeah, me too.
You'll probably have a good time.
But you know, on other days, I'll wake up at like fucking 4 p.m.
That's a little gross.
Dude, it's very gross. It's very, very gross.
That's real degenerate hours there.
Man, well, I'm glad that we fixed Dota.
Yes, this podcast is fixed Dota. I hope Valve and tournament
It's no longer a
organizers
dead
all
game.
Listen, I feel like this is the most amount of Dota this podcast has ever had.
Now we're going to get feedback the opposite direction. They'll be like, I liked it when you made jokes about penises.
We can talk about poop again, guys. I'm back.
Oh, man.